GovClose certification is generating tremendous results.
So 27 years old, you've never worked in government contracting, you've never worked as a consultant, and you just closed your first deal, is that correct?
That's fair. And I've got a couple small projects on the side as well. So definitely something, probably my best investment I've made all year.
It would be my second post on how a cold call landed a 9-figure government contract. My name's Gavin Tice.
So my name is Ethan Mart. When I was able to enroll into the GovClose program, it just exceeded all my expectations and really has provided a lot of valuable learnings and insights that I would not have found on my own.
I was able to get a consulting gig with a software company that currently works with the intelligence community. Hi, I'm Deb Diller Harris.
If you want to learn how to sell to the government, if you want to learn how to start your own consulting business, if you want to learn the skills that you need to go land a 6-figure plus account executive job with big companies selling to the government, the certification program is for you. Head on over to govclose.com, check out our certification program, talk to the team. You won't regret it. All right. We are live. So anyone that joins while we're live can ask questions. If you join after we're live, then you can still ask questions, but I won't be able to answer them in real time. I do get to all of the comments, though, eventually. So today, as we approach the end of 2024, things are going to slow down a little bit as far as government contracting is concerned, and they are going to pick back up exponentially after the new year. So January is always a big month. Everybody's getting back from vacation. And, you know, from January to, again, big picture, I like to break things down into chunks, but from January to like May, I like to really focus on all of the government contracting efforts, especially anything that can potentially benefit from something called fallout funding. So we're going to talk about that a little bit, but the real focus of today's live stream is going to be something that I don't talk about a lot, which is email and how you write to a government representative. What can you put in your correspondence that is going to drive results? So we're going to talk a little bit about that today. There's lots of different scenarios that are going to, that you might not even think about, as far as you writing an email to somebody on the government side that can generate results for you. So this is all part of the pipelining process for winning government contracts. And sometimes it's just a simple email going out every month, every couple of weeks, depending on what your strategy is, can drive significant results. But a lot of people have asked me, hey, Rick, what am I actually writing in the emails that I'm sending? So let's talk about that, right? Let me share my screen with you here. I think this will probably help. And let's see, share screen. Let's see if it doesn't, we don't want this to kick off my entire system. Oh, now you can see my dirty desktop. All right. What are we looking at right now? So this is our GovClose CRM. This is what all of our certification students get once they're certified. This is what I use with our clients. And I'm showing you this because we're going to get into the steps involved with closing a contract. If you're interested in what this means, this is just my system for how I think about winning government contracts. I want to know how many opportunities are in my pipeline. I want to know the pipeline total. I want to know what my close rate is. And from that, I can then figure out realistically, what do I think I'm going to close this year? Right now, I'm always trying to improve the close rate. That's going to have to do with how well you're managing your opportunities, how you're influencing them. Okay, but we're talking about emails. So let's go and take a look at one of our pipelines. We saw that the sources sought pipeline was going to show us some great results, right? So let's just take a look here. These are the steps that are actually involved in winning a contract from a sources sought response. Now I know you saw it, hey, email writing. We are going to talk about the email writing and some of the things that you're going to say. And by the way, I'm all about short and sweet. Okay. What I mean by that is I'm not writing the government, paragraphs and pages of information. They don't have time to read it. I didn't have time to read it when I was on that side. So let's take a look at how many steps do we have in here? At the 15 steps. And where do I think that I'm going to be able to write some emails and generate some momentum for me to close that contract? Okay. Now, the first thing this is a sources sought pipeline. So what this means, by the way, if you haven't seen our videos before or you're not familiar with our strategies, depending on what you sell to the government, that will dictate what strategy you use to sell to the government, because the government buys things in different ways. And people's companies are different, right? So if I take a look at the different strategies here, each pipeline has different steps. So if you are utilizing a GSA contract, I use the GSA pipeline. If you're an integrator, I use that pipeline. If you're a reseller, different pipeline, SBIR, you get the point, right? Okay. First thing that step in here is identifying a sources sought. Now, when am I going to write an email to the government? Am I going to write that email after I identify it and when I'm getting to write the response? Is that the first time that I'm going to reach out to that office? Well, the answer to that is usually going to be no. I'm going to contact them before that, right? And what am I going to say? So let's just start here. If you're not familiar with sources sought, you can find them on SAM.gov. A sources sought comes before a solicitation, and it puts you in the market research phase. This is the phase where you can legally speak with the government's contracting shop, with the government office, right? Once the solicitation comes out, the government is going to be very hesitant to speak with any individual company, because those are now basically grounds for another company to protest, because it could potentially show favoritism. This is why it's so important to find an opportunity before the solicitation, right? And just to give you an example, look here in the whole process of contracts, right? The solicitation comes out here, step 11. This is where most companies, when they start looking at government contracting, this is where they think it starts. This is not where the process starts. All the work happens before that. It starts back here, especially for this pipeline. So now I identify a pipeline. I'll show you quickly how we find that sources sought. I'm in SAM.gov. I am going to click contract opportunities. Okay, now where you see notice type, I am going to click sources sought. Now, something else that I'm going to look at is dates, because I don't want to see any sources sought that are expired. I want the due dates to be in front of me. So let's say next month. So anything that's coming up in the next month. Now, I have other training sessions on how to refine your searches for things like sources sought. That's not what this is about. So you can check out our other training on the YouTube channel for free. But now you could see here, these are a bunch of, by the way, an RFI, a request for information, and a sources sought. I use the terms interchangeably. But you're basically in the market research phase. The government is looking for information from companies, right? So here's one. I'll just take the first one. They want professional administrative support services. Okay. And when I go into the sources sought, by the way, everyone, you can ask questions. I'm going to hit test in the comments just to see if it's working. And anybody watching, if someone can reply, that'd be awesome. Okay. So I'm in SAM.gov. I'm looking at the sources sought. Now, what do I have here? Well, I know when the response is due. It's due January 3rd, 2025. And today, if you're watching this live, it's the 20th of December, 2024. Okay, so this sources sought is out ahead of us. And just give me a description of what they want. Here it is. It's Army Contracting Command. So it's telling me not only is it Army Contracting Command, it's Detroit Arsenal. There's a bunch of stuff in here, right? A bunch of things that I might have questions about. So just put that in the back of your brain right now. So I'm thinking about how I can differentiate myself from other businesses. That's the whole point. It's one of the points. Differentiate yourself, but also build a relationship gain insight and information that your competitors don't have because you want to win, right? Now, aside from, hey, these are the capabilities we're looking for, special requirements. Okay, so this one says I need a personal and facility security clearance. Again, this is just an example of a source of SOT. This is something I'm going to send an email about, right? It's giving you a ton of information, and then your, PWS, all that stuff down here. But what I'm looking for, see, now it's going to give me the actual email address of the person I need to send the source of SOT to. That's going to be somebody that's in the Army. They have an army.mil email address. And so they're asking probably for a capability statement and, yada, yada, yada. Okay. What kind of email am I going to send to this company? Well, it may be, I could pick anything out of this that I want to quote. But the point is, I want to reach out to them, and I'm going to reach out to them before I actually respond to even the source of SOT. Why am I going to do that? Well, there's a couple of reasons, right? One reason could be that maybe you have to, and I'm just thinking on the fly here, but if you see this and you have to partner with another company, right? Then I may, and I'm going to go to, let's see here. I've got some other not emails, but another emails that I have used in the past that have successfully driven results, right? So let's just say that the point of contact's name is John. You might throw Mr. in front of that, John. John, I'm looking at source of SOT number, whatever it is. Just had a quick question about the facilities clearance. Can we set up a call? That's the email, right? And then I'm going to put my signature block in there. I'll send it because I have the POC information, and I may be blocking here my banner. Let me get that out of there. Okay, there we go. So, okay, what did I just do, right? Why does that even matter? Well, it matters for a few reasons. I'm going to send that email. It's short and it's sweet, okay? And I've sent an email like this 100 times, and they're not all going to generate somebody responding to you, but a lot of them will. So, hey, best case scenario, I can't talk today. It's been a long day. Best case scenario is John calls me back from Army Contracting Command, and now we're setting up a discussion. Now I can get a ton of insight and information about this source of SOT, about this requirement that I did not have before, which means I'm going to have information that my competitors don't have. He could talk to me. Absolutely fine that he talks to me during this phase of contracting, right? Something else that this does, by the way, if you see any of our videos on subcontracting, well, what you'll see is that subcontracting, when you're setting up teaming agreements with other companies, especially if you're new and maybe you don't have the street cred yet, you don't have any past performance, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go on USA Spending. I'm going to find some people that have done this type of work, this administrative support services for Army Contracting Command. I'm going to find those companies, and I am going to reach out to them and say, hey, look, I'm in coordination with Army Contracting Command. I'm looking at an opportunity for subcontracting, and I think you could be a good fit. All right, well, again, we're talking about email writing and how we can generate results, right? So I just showed you one clear way to write an email and start building a relationship with the government. This is one of the biggest things that companies will say to me is, hey, Rick, I don't know where to begin as far as starting a relationship with the government. How do I do that? Well, this is how you do it, okay? Now, what am I going to do next? Take a look at this, right? Let's see. So we already went through that email. Let's outreach after a conference. Here we go. This is a real email. Okay, so one of our students through the GovClose certification program that does work for me now as well, reaching out. on behalf of a company. So this is reaching out to a company, right? But this is very similar. You can use that you can go right from that sources sought email I just sent, right, to writing an email for this subcontracting opportunity to a company, a potential company that you're going to team with. And so this is one that drove results. This is an actual email. My name is, and I took his name out, I'm an Army National Guard officer who works with the company who is our client. And they're 8A. I was reviewing our company upcoming contract opportunities that came up in our research, wondering if you would be open to a quick conversation to discuss this. That drives results. And something else that drives results, all I have to do is change the language a little bit to say, I'm in communication with Army Contracting Command on an upcoming opportunity, and our research showed that you might be a good fit for a teaming agreement / subcontracting, whatever it is that you're looking at. Do you think that's going to drive results? I mean, if my salesperson, if I'm selling to the government and one of my account executives gets that email, somebody's reaching out with an opportunity, they're in communication with the program office. My account executive doesn't respond to that email, he's not going to be, or she is not going to be an account executive for me very much longer. Okay. Because you don't turn down opportunities. You have to, especially if it's coming to you, if it's being delivered to you on a silver platter. So that is another example of an email that you can send that can drive results. Okay. What are some other emails? Well, what about follow-up? The government, for those of you watching, may not be the best at responding to the emails and to the outreach that you give them. So what I want to do is I want to ensure that I'm following up. I don't just send one email. I send emails until I get a response or until they tell me to shut up. Okay, so this is what email is there for. By the way, you can also pick up the phone. It's not just email. So if I don't get a response from the government in anything, whether, especially if it's a submission, like the actual sources sought submission or the actual solicitation that I'm writing a proposal on, they are going to hear from me nonstop until they confirm receipt of my last email. Now, this is just a follow-up that could be based off of from the email that we just sent. Hey, good morning, John, or whatever his name was. My name is Rick, and I'm working with a company specializing in, O&M or administrative services. Just following up on a previous email I sent, can I get a 15-minute call? Do you see the theme here? So what we're trying to do is we're trying to get a meeting with the government office. It's almost always the punchline. There are times where I'm not asking for a meeting, but usually it's going to be a meeting, because no matter what I'm trying to do, whether it's, for the sources sought that we were looking at right here, right? I'm trying to get additional information that's not in that sources sought, so I can write a kick-ass response, so I can grab an awesome teaming partner, and so I can respond the best way that I can. By the way, although it's not going to happen often, for some of these sources sought, the government truly is seeking information that they don't have. In this case, they're probably pretty familiar with administrative support services, but I'm going to recommend everything. I'm going to throw the kitchen sink at them when I actually respond to this thing, right? I'm not just going to answer their questions. I am going to be recommending that they set this aside for my type of business. Like, I have a service disabled veteran-owned small business. So if I'm selling to the government, I want them to set this aside for an SDVOSB, or just award me a sole source contract. If I was a SBIR winner in the past, they can use my SBIR contract potentially to give me a sole source contract. If you're 8A, you can do the same thing. I recommend you set this aside for an 8A business. And by the way, you can also sole source contract, with me for this, thus eliminating the need for even putting an RFP out there. Now, look, the government's not always going to do that. They have a way that they're going to do things, but you want to put it on the table. You're telling the government you have multiple ways to engage with us, right? So that's the RFI. Let's take a look at some of the steps here in the process. Let me actually make this a little bit bigger so you can see. Again, for anyone just joining us, this is the CRM that our certified advisors use that go through our certification process. But the steps remain the same, no matter what you're using. Salesforce, whatever else is out there, HubSpot, Asana. I feel like I've edited 100 different CRMs 500 different companies at this point, which is why we built this. Okay, so I identified the source of sought. Before I even made a go, no go, you saw that I sent that email, right? I sent this email. John just had a quick question about facilities clearance. Can we set up a call? Now, assuming he gives me, he agrees to that, right? Or I may just call him regardless. Now, that information is also going to help me make my go, no go decision, right? Because I had a question about facilities clearance. So just in this source of sought example, that was the one thing that kind of stuck out at me because everybody doesn't have that. So he may tell me, hey, Rick, we're looking for the prime contractor to have the facilities clearance. And, we really, or maybe he might be in a mode of honesty, right? Maybe they just had their Friday beer lunch or whatever, or their squadron bar. They just had a banquet or something. He tells you, hey, look, we kind of have someone in mind for this. If I hear anything like that, I'm making my decision, right? That's a no-go, right? But if he tells me, hey, Rick, yeah, the facilities clearance, what you guys have, it sounds like, you're a good company. If you partner with someone with a facilities clearance, absolutely, we'd love to talk to you. By the way, here's a couple of use cases that aren't even in the source of sought. Great. Now I'm moving forward, right? So I'm going to establish teaming partners. So that's when I sent out that other email, right? Which was basically, hey, blah, blah, blah. I was, I'm working with this company. I told you this is a real email, so we took the names out of it. But, reviewing upcoming contracting opportunities, you came up in my research, or in this case, I am in communication with Army Contracting Command, and your business came up in our research as a potential fit to do the work that we're not doing. They're going to call you back, definitely, or email you back. So now, again, I'll move this over here just so you can see. That's another place where we can send a short but quick email that's to the point, right? And it's not begging for work. And that's the point. This is what a lot of people get wrong. A lot of people will email the government POC, but they won't have a source of sought. They won't have questions. They're basically saying, hey, we specialize in administrative services, or we specialize in cybersecurity, and we're the best. And then they give them a paragraph or two and maybe a CAPE statement and all this information that no one wants to read. Hey, if you have any work for us, please let us know. No, don't send that. That's begging for work. And you're wasting the government's time, and you're wasting your time. When you're going to do email outreach to the government, it's not like B2B or B2C sales. You want to reach out only to the people in the government that have funding and a requirement, and this is important, and have the authority to put you on contract. And that is like 0.01% of everybody in the government, right? How do you find those people? I just showed you. We went to SAM.gov. We looked up source of sought. I got the name. We wrote the email. We made our go, no-go decision. Then, so with one email, with the second one, we got our teaming partners. They're going to respond to it because you just brought them an opportunity. Again, companies don't respond to people begging for work. Literally, I've had hundreds, I don't want to say hundreds of companies, maybe tens of companies during a consulting call with them mentioned that their strategy for teaming was finding companies on contract already with the government and just sending them emails saying, hey, and their thought is, hey, these companies are already on contract with the government. Well, I provide a service that they could use. I'm just going to target them. But what they don't realize is what they're sending is a begging for work email. Once the prime's on contract, the prime has a subcontractor, and it's not you if you're just learning about it because you did a USA spending search. But if you find the opportunity, the source of sought, and you reach out to the contracting officer that you have the relationship, and then you reach out to them and say, hey, I have an opportunity. You're not begging for work. You're bringing an opportunity to them, right? Great. Now, what am I doing? See, I got email, call the government POC. So this is here because if it didn't work over here, or if I forgot, or if my salesperson forgot, this is why they're all steps in the pipeline. You don't want to have to spitball this every week. If you're running a sales team, or even in your business, if you're using a spreadsheet, whatever you're using to sell to the government, you need to have these steps written down, because especially when you're managing other people, hey, they're working a source of sought. Okay, well, did they do a no-go? Did they establish teaming partners? Did they email the government POC? All right, they probably didn't. And if they did, you have it right here. And they can say, yep, we emailed them, good to go. Okay, great. Now you got to write the source of sought response, right? So Now, there's a couple things here that I will say, and I'm going to skip here because this isn't about how to write a source of sought, but what it is about is email. And this is critical. Confirm receipt, right? I'm just going to do this on the fly because I didn't think of it before I put this all together here, right? So we emailed John earlier about was the contracting officer for this administrative support services source of sought, which is, by the way, if you are in admin services, this is a real source of sought that's out right now, and it's not due till January 3rd. So you can respond to it. But let's go back here, John. So now I wrote the source of sought. I sent it to him. What am I saying when I send that source of sought to him? John, attached is a source of sought for solicitation number, and I'll write the solicitation number in there. If you have any questions, I'd love to set a call to answer them. And this is the most important thing that you're writing in the email. The most important thing. Please confirm receipt. And then sign your name. Okay. What does that do? See, I even have a step in here. Submit, right? And confirm receipt. We're actually on submit, because if that's the email I'm writing that has the source of sought, here's my source of sought. Okay, great. That means, well, I'm all over the place. That means that I wrote it, and if I sent that email, I submitted it, but they haven't confirmed receipt yet. Countless times I have heard, hey, Rick, we're submitting source of sought. I submitted a source of sought, or even worse, a proposal, but they never confirmed receipt, and we're not really sure where it stands. I'm like, well, you don't know where you stand. Why not? Like, so when they emailed you and said, we confirm receipt, oh no, I never got that. Guys, this happens a ton. This happens all the time. So what do you do? If I don't get a confirmed receipt in the same day that I send this source of sought, then the very next day I am sending an email, and that email is going to look like, so look at this, right? So we're pretending that this is an email. I know I'm looking at a Word document right now, but I am taking the email that I sent John, okay, and I'm forwarding it. I'm just hitting forward, but no attachment. I'm taking the source of sought attachment out. The other thing you're doing is you're taking out any signature block where you have a link. No links, no pictures, no attachments. All that stuff can actually get your email blocked from the government agency. Kind of ironic, because you have to attach the source of sought in order to send it, right? So now in this one, I'm just saying, hey, John, just following up. See the below email where I submitted the source sought. Wanted to make sure you received. Guys, short and sweet. Trust me, the government is going to, I may have spelled a bunch of stuff wrong here. The government is going to appreciate you being as concise as possible. Did I spell this wrong? I don't know. But obviously, you're going to put your signature block there too, as long as it has no pictures, no links. So again, with this, what's critical? No pictures, no links, no attachments. Okay, and I do forward the source of sought that I already sent, just so they see it. So I want them to be able to scroll down in the email and see that I did send it, because I might be emailing them the day after it was due, right? So great. All right, so I've confirmed receipt. Now what? Well, I confirmed receipt. I would say that even though I'm kind of interlacing in my emails that I would like an actual meeting, you know, the government may not have agreed to it yet. So I want to make sure I am trying the entire time. The whole point of this, guys, is you're trying to build a relationship with the government. Meetings win contracts, okay? Meetings win contracts. Relationships win contracts. And when I say relationships, what I don't mean is that you have to have a relationship with someone in the government from a past job or a buddy. It's not what I'm talking about. I mean, you develop a relationship. In this case, it's with John over at Army Contracting Command. And I'm building the relationship by sending John emails, and I'm trying to get the follow-up meeting. Now, what am I going to do when I get to this stage, and how often am I going to email them? That's another question that people often ask. It's like, hey, Rick, am I hitting these guys up every week? No, absolutely not. Once they've confirmed receipt, remember, they have to review all of these sources sought. And even though I'm putting in there that I want a meeting, it's probably not standing out to them. The guy on the other, or the gal on the other side of this, they just want to make sure that they're getting all of the submissions in and that they're doing their job, right? But now I'm probably going to hit them up a couple weeks later. And what am I going to say there? Well, let's go. John again, right? I may send him like the email chain just so he knows that I've talked to him, because he's going to confirm receipt. Eventually, he's going to confirm receipt. And you have to be tenacious about this. So he is either going to respond, hey, I got it, sorry for the delay, or I'm going to keep emailing him and I'm going to call and I'm going to find somebody in that office to confirm friggin' receipt of my sources sought. Because when I put one of those together, I put a lot of work into that, right? And so do you. So they owe you a confirmation. You have to get it. All right. So let's just pretend John had responded back. I got it, whatever. Okay. So now 2 weeks later, I'm just reaching back out to John. It's in my pipeline, right? And remember, we're reviewing our pipeline. When we're selling to the government, you should be in this constantly. You live in your pipeline. This is what enables you to follow up, and following up and being persistent. Granted, being persistent and being annoying, there's a fine line, right? But up to you. You may have to push your boundaries. Let's put it this way. I think that most people err on the side of not pushing enough, right? We want to keep pushing. So, hey, John, what I might say if I submitted this sources sought is, just wanted to confirm when you think the solicitation date, because it's very important, right? We just responded to a sources sought, but we need the solicitation to come out to actually write a proposal and win the contract. Just want to confirm when you think the solicitation will come out. Also, we have a great, and granted, this is for admin services, right? But you're going to come up with something to put in front of them. Like, they need to see this, like, hey, we have a great software tool. Because remember, the solicitation hasn't come out yet. They're still trying to figure out, what to put in there. Software tool that manages admin services. This could save, again, bullets, but I want to know, it's probably in your sources sought too. This could save you, time and money, but I want to be more specific than that just for the sake of this. I'm not going to bore you with it. But when I say this, remember, I'm telling John, now he's got the sources sought. They've had a couple of weeks to review everything, right? So sources sought came out on SAM.gov. We wrote the initial email. We're following the steps, right? We went through the go, no go. We established teaming partners. We emailed them. We submitted. They didn't confirm anything. So I followed up until they confirmed receipt. Okay, now it is a couple of weeks later, and after I confirm receipt, I want that follow-up meeting. And that's why we're in here. And I'm basically telling him he has time to breathe now. And he's reviewed some of these. We have a software tool that maybe that software tool can save them an entire person's worth of investment, right? Again, since you're in the market research phase, you're before the solicitation, they may be very interested in that. Hey, how can I save $150,000, right, on paying a person to manage these admin services for me? This could save you time and money. I have free time next week. Like a quick demo. Well, so a lot of people think you can't just create these opportunities for yourselves, but I'm telling you, this is best, Rick. It's very important, right? I might have to send this email 3 times before I even get a response. I might only have to send it once, right? And hold on 1 second here. I'm just going to good. All I'm doing right now, guys, is checking to make sure that the comment section works. Again, if you have any questions about any of this, let me know. And just put it in the comments and we'll see if my software actually gets it. So what happens now? Well, then I want that demo. I got to go and I want to give the demo. I mean, that's a whole nother conversation about what you want to put in it. But the bottom line is you're putting that demo in front of them. You want to learn as much as you can about the effort, right? So if they agree to it, now I'm in. Demo capability brief scheduled. Do you see how I'm breaking out each part of this into very specific steps? These are the steps that you have to follow. Remember, we haven't even got to the solicitation yet. So for anyone out there that has been looking at solicitations, I want to write a proposal. How many things have I already done? How much time have I spent before the solicitation comes out? You know, and by the way, like when we get to the solicitation and I have to submit the proposal, how much better does John know me and my company? Now I'm giving him, not only has he read the sources sought, I probably had a conversation with him. Now I'm going to give him a demo over here. I'm going to prepare for this. And remember, that demo is, going a little bit off subject here from email writing, but when you put a demo in front of the government, do not put a PowerPoint slide in front of them that is just like a vomit of everything that you think you can do for the government. They don't care. Remember, John has a very specific thing to do. What's John doing? Professional administrative support services. It's probably the only thing on his bucket that applies to you right now. That's what he cares about. That's what he has money for. That's what he has a requirement for. If you start telling him about cybersecurity services, he is going to start falling asleep and he's going to be like, why is this admin support company talking to me about cybersecurity? Like literally, that's the type of stuff that made me ignore companies. And I'm biased, right? From having done this before. I'm just saying, know your audience, know the office you're going into, know that this and all the information's right here. This is what they want to talk about. Okay. So now you are in the capability brief here. Let's bring it over here. Some of the things that I want to know. Okay. I've gone through all of this work, right? I've gone through all this work from identifying an RFI and a source of sought to go, no go. We went through all of the emails that I've sent to try to get to this point where we've had conversations, we formed teaming agreements, and now I'm getting ready to give them a demo. And here, where are we right here? There we go. So I wanted to actually put it right here. So now I have a demo set up for them. And now not only am I going to brief them, because they've already read my source of sought, not only are we going to brief them our capability as how we can solve this exact requirement, but I also want more information from them, right? Because remember, the government timeline is not your timeline. So if you're a sales executive, if you're a business owner, you want to know, like this source of sought, when is that solicitation coming out? Is it this year? Is it next year? Because it very well could be next year. Is it in 2 weeks? That's something you need to know. Also, there may be limited information that you got the first time around, like through the source of sought. You may have asked some questions, but now this is your opportunity. These are the things you want to ask. Is there funding? There should be, because the source of sought went out, but I want to know, hey, is there funding and what kind of funding is it? If you're new to government contracting, even if you're not new, you might not realize it. We call it colors of money in the Department of Defense, but there are different kinds of money. And there's 1 year money, there's 3 year money, there's money that is just for R&D, there's money that's for O&M. So they may say, like, here's some possible answers. So when you finally schedule a brief with this office, in addition to them learning about you guys and, hey, this is great, this fits our need, it's, hey, do you have the funding for this? And they may say something like, well, it's fallout funds. Well, if it's fallout funds, what that means is they don't really have the money. That means that they are hoping that there is a certain amount of money that the organization isn't going to spend. Okay. And this is what happens with fallout funds every year around April, May. Usually most government organizations, you'll see that the fallout funds, meaning if I have a $10 million budget and I'm only spending $9 million this year, the government agencies are all going to try to spend every last dollar of the money. So now everyone's going to be competing for that $1 million, and there's going to make a list, and someone, probably a colonel or so, is going to decide, all right, I'm going to give that $1 million to this program right here, the administrative support services, so we can do the software tool. right? So now you know that you have something else you have to think about is, am I going to get the fallout funds for this? And that makes it a little squishy. Or they may say, no, we have the funding and we're planning on putting the solicitation out in 3 weeks and, yada, yada. Okay. So now you have the solicitation date, you know when the funding is coming, you know what kind of funding it is. You want to know how they're going to put it on contract, right? So are they going to sole source it? Are they going to use simplified acquisitions? Is GSA involved? Are they going to use a GSA schedule? But this is something you need to know, because if you don't have GSA, you're out. You're out unless you can partner with someone that has GSA. So you still might have some time. Let's say they were planning on GSA, but you don't have it, but they like your company. Well, then you ask them, hey, is there a way we can maybe go a different route as far as the contracting for this? And then you got to look at your business and figure out, hey, what types of vehicles do I have that I can offer the government as far as the ability to put me on contract, right? Okay, but now we've had a good demo. We've confirmed the solicitation date. Now we're getting into, the proposal being submitted. These are, and we can basically reuse some of the same email strategy that I already mentioned, starting way back at the beginning with the RFI source of sought, which is direct, to the point, asking them specifically for things like a meeting, asking them for, what is this one for? This one is outreach after a conference, right? So now I'm mixing it up a little bit here, but this is the type of thing I'd send out. This is a real email, actually. So you go to a conference, I'm talking with a government employee. I need a reason to reach out to them. Hey, I was thinking about your scenario during a recent demo. Let me know if we can hop on a Teams meeting in the next 2 weeks. Because by the way, the government uses Teams. I hate Teams, but the government uses it. So you have to adapt. The government's the 900-pound gorilla in the room, as they say. So anyway, I'd like to get your take on a user interface for data exposure. So look, guess what? Guess what this led to? Another meeting, another demo. This is the type of thing that leads to contracts. Okay, so it's constant follow-up. It can be very simple emails, right? But you are not in any way bound to only responding to sources sought and solicitations. Okay, this type of email is not a unsolicited proposal. I want to make that clear also, because unsolicited proposals don't work. I don't care what you've heard. Honestly, what it really does is it pisses off government offices, because if you send a unsolicited proposal to a government acquisitions office, they legally have to respond to that, which means somebody has to review it. They don't have money or a requirement for it, because if they did, they'd put out a source of sought in the solicitation. But you're sending this unsolicited proposal in, so they're going to have to go through the work of reviewing it and responding to it, and it's not going to be good for you, because you can wreck your reputation in government very, very quickly. You may think of the government as a big place, but I will tell you right now, the acquisitions corps is not a big place. It is a small place, and we all talk. Acquisitions officers hang out with other acquisitions officers. Okay, there's some other things that we can do here. I think I already showcased this one. Here's a teaming for a subcontract opportunity. I'm going to review it again for those that weren't on the first one. And this is a real email, right? I took the names out, but hey, my name is X. This individual is a certification advisor that went through our program. He's a National Guard officer, and he was working with a company, one of my clients. After reviewing our upcoming contract opportunities, your company came up in our research. Now, this wasn't based on a source of sought. This was targeted because this is a company we wanted to team with. Wondering if you'd be open to a quick conversation to discuss this. And this generated real results. Okay, so this is the type of email that you can write to generate real results. So you guys can use these as templates if you want. And oh, I left his name in there. Oh, you guys know it was Ivan. I thought there was one email that I didn't get to, but I might be wrong about that. Nope. I think that was all of them. If anyone wants a specific or has a specific question about the type of correspondence that you can generate with a contracting officer, with a program manager, what does that look like? You can always send us those questions. You can leave your requests in the comments. But, you know, guys, that's the nuts and bolts of it. when we're talking about writing emails to the government, I always take an opportunity. I start with that. Always start with the opportunity. And then you do a very quick and to the point email, like 2-3 lines max. And I always separate them. So, well, I didn't separate them here, but see, separate, very easy to read. I can read it in 5 seconds. What's the ask? Why do they want to respond to me? What am I looking for? And you got to follow up. Like, this is not one and done. I might send 15 emails, over the year. If I'm working with an existing, like if I was in a different pipeline, let me see here, existing customer upsell. So like I told you, there's a bunch of people on now that weren't when we started. We were just going through different strategies. It's the GovClose CRM. So we walked through, hey, email writing for the sources sought pipeline and the different steps. But if I have an existing customer, guys, I'll tell you, this is one of the best ways to sell to the government. Like this is why they say once your foot's in the door, it's a lot easier, because I maintain my relationship with the government customer by ensuring that I am emailing them at least once a month. I am seeing here, I've got some different steps in here, but some of the things to break it down for you is I'm going to email them and say, hey, you're on contract, you're using my stuff. Is it working out for you? Okay. It's always starts with value. How can we make it better? How can I make my service better? The ask is not going to happen in every email you send them. Hey, can I come out there and meet with you guys? I'm going to do that. You want to actually go out there, meet with the program office. Hey, by the way, did you know that we have these 5 new technologies? Can we show them to you? So, I'm going to, and then we go through the steps here about, hey, how do we send them emails, and then what types of things are we asking them? But no matter what your strategy is, there are going to be reasons for you to email the government office when it's not an official request coming from them. So guys, hopefully this has been beneficial for you. I know it was for me. It's good for me to always go through this and make sure that, reviewing emails that I've sent that have worked, for instance, is a great way. And that's what I show you in the videos, to make sure that at least you have, you're benefiting from the, not only the mistakes, but the successes that I've had, that my team's had. And hopefully you have those as well. And if we don't cross paths again before Christmas, hey, Merry Christmas, Happy New Year. And let's 2025, let's go win some government contracts.
The GovClose certification is generating tremendous results.
So 27 years old, you've never worked in government contracting, you've never worked as a consultant, and you just closed your first deal, is that correct?
That's fair. And I've got a couple small projects on the side as well. So definitely probably my best investment I've made all year.
It would be my second post on how a cold call landed a 9-figure government contract. My name's Gavin Tice.
So my name is Ethan Mart. When I was able to enroll into the GovClose program, it just exceeded all my expectations and really has provided a lot of valuable learnings and insights that I would not have found on my own.
I was able to get a consulting gig with a software company that currently works with the intelligence community. Hi, I'm Deb Diller Harris.
If you want to learn how to sell to the government, if you want to learn how to start your own consulting business, if you want to learn the skills that you need to go land a 6-figure plus account executive job with big companies selling to the government, the certification program is for you. Head on over to govclose.com, check out our certification program, talk to the team. You won't regret it.